Hello and welcome back to me, Mayhem 2 for Freestyle. If you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend doing so, as we had some pretty good runs there. Anyway, at the end of part 2, you will be able to vote for which of the 16 trucks we saw today will move on to the finals later this year. So, with that, we have 8 more trucks to go for this rather wacky freestyle here at the upscaled Raymond James Stadium. So let's move on to the first competitor of part 2, and truck number 9 in our lineup. Up first we have Long Bloother, which has given us quite a very interesting setup here. We have some very big wheels in the rear and some transport tires in the front. This is definitely going to be a very interesting setup here, depending on how the tuning works. I was kind of hoping the parts randomizer would give us the airplane engines that is available for this chassis, but it doesn't look like parts randomizer was all that nice to us today. Truck does seem to have quite the fairly good acceleration though, although those rear wheels are definitely going to give this truck some hard times in turning. Starting us off with the big ramp. Nosediving it right into the front. I'm surprised the transport tires didn't just fall off right there. That does seem the high speed that was giving those rear wheels some trouble though. And again, the small front tires, big rear tires, not going to be steering very well either. Going for the airplane now. Up over the airplane. Looks like the tail section grabbed one of those tires. I think steering might have just been lost in the rear. The truck rolls over and it looks like they might be able to... No, not quite. And right on the roof it looks like that is the unfortunate end for Long Bloother. At 30 seconds had passed, there will be no rolling this truck back on its tires. Very unfortunate end, but let's move on to our next competitor. Up next we have your racing winner here at me Mayhem, Son of a Mother. It'll be very interesting if we could get Son of a Digger into this lineup for the finals. Does seem like a very interesting setup. Some BKTs, some shocks. Looks like it has the big sway bars in the rear. Seems to have some fairly decent acceleration. It looks like the BKTs all over the truck have been essentially just reversed. Yeah, they all seem to be in a backwards configuration rather than the normal forward one. Going right into a stoppie here. Nice stoppie by Son of a Mother. Gonna try to pull into a moonwalk. Not quite. Lands it right on the roof. Luckily for Son of a Mother, 30 seconds had not yet fully passed, so we will roll this truck over back onto its wheels. And with Son of a Mother rolled back on all 4 tires, we will of course allow them to restart their run. Doesn't seem to be too much damage to the truck, just that the door came right off. And of course, once this truck does hit an obstacle, we will restart the timer. Going right for the airplane, right over that metal ramp, jumping the airplane. I think the ramp shifted a little bit as they're now going to land on the tabletop this time if they try to go off that ramp. Going for the racing lane, up into the air. Some nice distance off of that. Quite a big bounce as well. Putting it into a stoppie once again. Seems like the shifting from first into second gear is a little rough as we do hear the engine rev a bit. Going for the side of this tabletop, going right up and over. Landing in front of the big ramp, getting launched onto his side. Manages to recover, goes up onto the sidewalls, rolls it over. And it doesn't look like Son of a Mother will be able to get back on all 4 tires, so unfortunately that will be the end of the run here for your racing winner, Son of a Mother. Lucky for them, they already have their spot in the finals, so we'll see who'll join them. Up next we have Swamp Man himself, Shrek. Seems like we have some very interesting tires here. Some coil-over shocks in the rear, very long exhaust headers for the engine. Definitely a bit of an interesting suspension setup here, but we'll see what Shrek can do with that. Seems to have some pretty good acceleration. Suspension setup seems a little soft as the truck kind of leans over a bit. Gets some pretty big air coming off the side of one of the racing lanes. Going on the side of this tabletop here, going up, corkscrewing around. Goes right onto the sidewalls of the tires. Bounces around and manages to stay on all fours. Going for a step-up ramp here in the middle. Lines it down smoothly on the big ramp. Going for the crush cars next to the airplane. Up they go. Spins it around, gets a backflip off of the airplane. Quite impressive there. And puts it right into a slap wheel. Quite the combo there by Shrek. Get some pretty big air right off of that tabletop. Again, this is a upscale map, so of course the ramps will definitely be big here. Doesn't seem to be stopping Shrek though. It's a bit of an awkward landing coming off of the racing lane. Does manage to stay on all fours and fairly straight. Goes up the side of that tabletop. Shrek trying to pull off a donut, it seems. Pops it up on two wheels, rolls it onto the side, and it looks like that is, unfortunately, the end of the truck here for our favorite ogre. Quite a good run. Got some pretty big air, some nice stunts. But let's see what the other lineup has. Up next we have Diesel Bloothers, of course running what looks like a 540 Hemi engine on this one. Of course this is supposed to be the kind of opposite of the Ocean Bloother. Rather than being environmentally friendly, this one is of course running, well, it should be running a diesel engine, but I'm sure a supercharged Hemi engine is no environmentally friendly thing. Seems to have some pretty good acceleration here and some speed, starting us off by going over that racing lane. And a bit of a slap wheelie off of it. Right up over the tabletop, landing back down with a bit of a bounce. Going up the tabletop once again, getting sent sideways a little bit, bounces off the sidewalls, goes a little bit nuts. Still manages to land on all four tires. Tries to pull off a little bit of stoppy there, but didn't seem to have the speed to do it. Tries to turn, try to get lined up for the crush cars, but doesn't turn tight enough and just bounces off the wall. Surprised nothing broke on the truck there. Hitting it in reverse on the step-up ramp here. Gets a little bounce, send him into a backflip. Breaks off the front right wheel. Lands on what remains of the three wheels on this truck. Seems like one of the four-link bars, maybe the tire rod giving the truck a little trouble trying to stay still as the tire rod just sends the truck up into a wheelie. Right up over the tabletop, lands on the roll cage. That's definitely going to hurt. Does manage to spin it around back onto all three tires. Looks like they're trying to turn the truck around, but it can't quite do so. Although on the side with the missing tire does seem to be quite easy. Going for the metal ramp now, pops it up into the air for a bit of a wheelie. Flies through the air, lands it down hard. Rolls the truck over. Will it land on the 3 wheels? Yes, it will. And putting it into a reverse donut. Going up on 2 wheels now. Pops it into a wheelie, trying to accelerate out of wherever they were. Tie Rod once again launching them up into a wheelie. Quite the big sky wheelie coming off of that tabletop. Spins the truck around and lands right in the wall next to the backflip ramp. That is the end of the run here for Diesel Bloother that has the tire rods going all funky. I don't think it's supposed to be doing that. Anyway, with that run completed, we still have a few more trucks to go. So let's see who we have up next. Up next we have Doge Destruction. Last Team Mayhem, this truck got into the final round of racing. Let's see if they can get themselves their world final spot here in freestyle. Parts randomizer seems to have given them the high capacity fuel tank. Roll the big sway bars in the rear. Doge Destruction starting us off a little differently with a reverse donut. Quite the good donut there by Doge Destruction. Gets a bit of a slap wheelie coming off of that ramp. Jumps over the tabletop, some big air. Puts into a little bit of a stoppie. Going for the metal ramp over the airplane. Up he goes. Lands on the other side of that tabletop very smoothly. Going for one in the racing lanes, a little squirrely entering a kind of a straight line that sends him into a nosedive. Gets a bit of a bounce. Up over the tabletop into a bit of a stopping once again. Goes into a bit of a front flip here. Lands it back on all 4 tires. Hits it in reverse to go the other way. Rear steer doesn't seem to be too kind here. Truck still lands pretty smoothly on the other side though. Going on the back side of the racing lane, clipping this big center ramp. Still manages to land back on all 4 tires. Going for the airplane yet again. And of course I did reset the crush cars a bit again. Gets a bit of a bounce. Going for the backflip ramp now. This will definitely be very interesting here. Up Doge Destruction goes. Gets a nice roll. Lands it back on all 4 tires and pops it into a moonwalk. And with time up, that will be the end of the scored run for Doge Destruction. Although it seems like Doge Destruction isn't quite done yet. Jumps the airplane yet again. And it looks like that is the end of the run here for Doge Destruction. Quite a good run, managed to fulfill the time. Let's see what everyone else has. Up next we have Spookest of Giraffes. Looks like we have a bit of an interesting setup here. Some coilovers in the rear. I think that's the Anderson suspension setup. Quite some interesting tires here. Looks like this truck has all Anderson suspension parts. Definitely seems to have an interesting engine, as there seems to be some kind of pressure relief valve or something. As the truck slows down, you can hear something come off the engine. Does seem to have some pretty good acceleration though. And you can hear some kind of pressure being relieved when the throttle is let up. Seems like gearing's a little rough too, as you can hear the truck just backfiring a bunch. Doesn't seem to be stopping so far, as Spookest of Giraffes is getting some nice air over some of these jumps. Tries to do what Shrek did, but not quite. Rolls it over. And can they get themselves off the tabletop and back on four wheels? They might just be able to. Seems to be in a bit of trouble here, but does manage to get off the tabletop and back on all four tires. Goes off the other side of the airplane now. Gets a nice slap wheelie coming right off of the airplane. Drawing into a donut now, seems to be staying in first gear, as you can hear the engine backfiring. Got some nice donuts by Spookest of Giraffes. Going back for that airplane once again. Up over the crushed cars, clips the airplane, pops one of the rear tires. Goes a little nuts, rides on the wall for a little bit. Trying to get turned around, but that rear tire certainly is not helping at all. Looks like they're going to try to go for the backflip ramp up into the air. Corkscrews around a bit, but manages to land on all four tires. Still trying to move around, turn a bit, goes on three wheels. Goes back on two wheels this time. And then on one wheel, rolls it over. Seems like Spookest of Giraffes is trying its best not to stay on four wheels. The truck just calmly rolls right on over as the run ends. Landing right on top of the claptraps there. Seems to be a very interesting run for Spookest of Giraffes. How good was it? Well, we still have two more trucks to go, and then you'll be able to vote for who you believe is the winner. Up next, we have Maximum Disappointment. Seems to have some pretty big treads on those Firestone tires up front. Can't quite tell what the rest of the suspension setup is like with the Maximum Destruction body in the way. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Rear suspension and front suspension seem to be very soft as the truck just rocks back and forth on the acceleration and deceleration. It's a very interesting start here by plowing into the side of that center ramp. And suspension seems to be very soft here as the truck rolls it over, lands on the sidewalls. Can they get themselves back on their tires? Yes, they will. Maximum Disappointment trying to pull off a donut, it seems, but the suspension might be a little too soft for that. Goes off the side of this tabletop, pops it right into a slap wheel. Here, this engine's kind of backfiring a little bit too, but I'm pretty sure it's in like the highest gear it can be. Sounds like Maximum Disappointment. Goes up on three wheels, goes up on two, Manages to stay on all fours though. Going for the airplane now. Taking it a little bit slow. Pops the tires right up into the air for a bit of a wheelie. Meant to say he clipped the airplane, but still managed to stay, this time on two wheels. This truck just seems to be accidentally ending up on the sidewalls and into bicycles every so often. Going for the plane ramp now, seems to be stuck in first gear. Rear tire clips what's left of the tail on that airplane, and there goes the front clip of the truck. Might be able to get a look at the shocks on this thing. Right up over that center ramp, goes high up into the air, bounces down quite hard. Seems to have the normal stock shocks here. The truck pulls off the donut now. Nice donuts by Maximum Disappointment. Seems like the engine might be overheating a bit. Doesn't seem to be stopping this truck as time runs out for Maximum Disappointment. Gonna try to go for the backflip ramp, it seems. Gets a nice backflip and into a moonwalk. Unfortunately, time is indeed up for Maximum Disappointment as they seem to get themselves stuck on the wall here. Was a pretty good run, did fulfill the time, but is it enough to take the win? Well, we still have one more truck to go before we can decide on a winner. And our final competitor for Mayhem 2 is Grave Hunter. Seems like part randomizer is giving us the Bigfoot 10 style of suspension in the rear there. Regular shocks up front. Seems like this will be a very interesting setup here for freestyle. Does have pretty good acceleration. Again, you can kind of hear it has kind of the same engine as Spookest of Giraffes. As some kind of pressure relief valve is going off when the truck stops accelerating. Going for the airplane. Doesn't look like they're going to start the run off just yet. Just trying to pose for a picture here. Stands on top of the airplane. Now he's got to try to figure out how to get off of it. Managed to get himself off the airplane, but seems to pop one of the tires before the freestyle run even begins. This is definitely going to be an interesting start here for Grave Hunter, heading for one of the tabletops. Lands it down smoothly on the other side. I think this will be the first truck to have a pop tire before their run even begins, so we'll definitely see how this affects the run. Going for the other crushed cars, plows right into them. Pulls off a bit of a corkscrew here on the crushed cars. And is in the sidewalls, but doesn't seem to be able to roll back over. Does push the plane a bit. Luckily, that was the first 30 seconds of the run, so we will allow Grave Hunter to be rolled back over. And with Grave Hunter rolled back over, you can see that BKT tire is definitely flat, has been since the beginning of the run. With the metal ramp just kind of pushed off to the side, it will definitely be interesting to see if Grave Hunter can do anything with that. Turning does seem to be a struggle though, goes off the side of the tabletop, starting off the run yet again. Comes back around, looks like he might be trying to get vengeance on this airplane. Not quite, he's going to go up the metal ramp, doesn't quite clear the ramp, smashes the tire into the airplane, and just keeps on going as if nothing happened. Goes up on the sidewalls into a bit of a bicycle here. Quite a long bicycle, quite the suspension bending up at the front. Bounces off that center ramp, absolutely destroys the front clip on the landing. Looks like Grave Hunter might be trying for a donut here. Goes up onto the sidewalls, rolls it onto the side. Can he get back on all fours? Doesn't quite look like it. Truck lost a little too much momentum as the truck will lay here on its side with, I think, another tire popped. Quite an interesting run here by Grave Hunter. Had a bit of a problem with the front tire kind of deflating before the run even began. But it was a fairly interesting run nonetheless. But, of course, we still have one final truck to go. And if this truck seems a bit small to you, that's because this is a half-scaled CRD chassis. And it's a bit of an RC car, as you can see the batteries there in the back. This is, of course, running the 40th anniversary Gravedigger body. The year is not over yet. Anyway, look at this little thing go. Half-scale body on a double-scaled map. This will definitely be interesting encore. But with the main event actually over, you will be able to vote for which of these 16 trucks you will be able to decide for which one will go to the finals. Which freestyle run do you think is the best? You'll get to decide with a link to a Google form link in the description below. Anyway, we have one final event before the finals, so I will see you at that event. Anyway, remember to stay hydrated.